Welcome to News at 10. I'm Brendan Lepal. The National Task Force NTF will continue with its duties even after the COVID-19 pandemic ends. Armed Forces Chief General Tan Sri Effendi Buang said this is because the NTF had shown that it was capable of stopping foreign migrants from crossing the country's borders during the pandemic. In addition, he said the NTF has various operations models that were successful in controlling the entry of migrants, smuggling and enforcement at the country's borders.
Satu perintah di mana kita dapat standardiskan semua tetap pengarahan dan juga perintah tetap operasi. Daripada situ ia akan dapat melicinkan lagi tata cara operasi kita di mana daripada peringkat command and control hingga ke peringkat pelaksanaannya di mana tactical unit yang beroperasi tersebut dapat memahami dan juga kita dapat menyeragamkan semua perintah-perintah kita.
Regarding cross-border crime, General Tan Sri Effendi voiced his disappointment as the majority of such crimes were committed by locals who were taking advantage of the current situation during the COVID-19 pandemic. He said this in a media conference after the signing of the OBS Benteng Permanent Procedures for Operations at Wisma Perwira ATM today. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bador and Malaysian Maritime Enforcement Agency Director General Admiral Dato Muhammad Zubil Matsom were also present at the signing ceremony. The police have suggested to the Immigration Department to declare the heads of foreign scam and vice syndicates as persona non grata. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Abdul Hamid Bador said in his department would identify the foreign criminals to be referred to the Immigration Department for such action.
Mereka yang dijadikan sasaran oleh polis ni adalah ketua-ketua sindiket misalnya scammers yang datang daripada luar negara, sindiket maksiat. Yang ini apabila kita telah kenal pasti bahawa mereka lah yang menggerakkan aktiviti haram di sini, kita akan merekomen kepada pihak Jabatan Immigration untuk mereka dikenakan penyisiaran tersebut dengan harapan mereka tak boleh masuk lagi, seumur hidup tak boleh masuk balik ke Malaysia.
He said this in a media conference after the signing of the OBS Benteng Permanent Procedures for Operations at Wisma Perwira ATM today. Yesterday, Immigration Director General Dato Khairul Zaimi Daud was reported to have said that foreigners who were found involved and convicted of offences involving criminal activities would be declared as persona non grata. The rule, he said, would apply to all foreigners who committed offences under the Immigration Act 1959, regardless of the type of visit pass they had. Two Immigration Department officers were charged in Kota Baru Sessions Court today with 33 counts of accepting bribes amounting to 154,340 ringgit. The first accused, Muhammad Haris Rosli, 27, was charged with 31 counts of accepting bribes, had pleaded guilty to 18 charges and claimed trial to 13 other charges. The second accused, Fasmawi Abdul Wahab, 24, pleaded guilty to 2 charges made against him. Muhammad Haris, who is attached to the Johor Immigration Department, was charged with 31 counts of obtaining money totaling 152,940 ringgit from several individuals. He allegedly to have committed the offences at Kota Baru Maybank Islamic Branch between April 2018 and November 2019. The charges are made under Section 165 of the Penal Code, which carries an imprisonment for up to 2 years or with fine or both if found guilty upon conviction. Fasmawi, who is also attached to the Johor Immigration Department, was accused with 2 counts of receiving bribe amounting to 1,400 ringgit at a Maybank Islamic Berhad branch at Jalan Hulu Pasar in Tumpat between the 26th February and the 1st of March 2019. Judge Zaman Muhammad Noor did not allow bail for the accused and set the 22nd of December for sentencing. Deputy Public Prosecutor Noor Hamiza Ghazali appeared for the prosecution while the accused were not represented. Meanwhile, at the Butterworth Sessions Court, an officer from the Immigration Department was sentenced to jail for 30 days and 12,000 ringgit fine after pleaded guilty to 3 charges of accepting bribes amounting to 3,060 ringgit. The accused, Akasha Roslan, 38, made the plea in front of Judge Nur Hayati Muhammad Yunus. The accused, who is attached to Johor Immigration Department, had pleaded guilty for receiving money amounting to 2,160 ringgit from one Muhammad Azrael Azizan, 37, through his personal bank account at the CIMB Bank Berhad in Bayan Baru, Pulau Pinang, between 22nd and 24th of June 2018. On the second and third counts, he also pleaded guilty to accepting 100 ringgit and 800 ringgit from Azrael for the same purpose at the same place on 21st August and 14 September 2018. Akasha was detained by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) on 16 November during Op Salat at Bangunan Sultan Iskandar in Johor. Akasha had stamped the Immigration Department stamp on passports of foreign workers without their presence to enable them to remain in the country. Azrael provided the accused with the passports of the foreigners and he made payments to Akasha's CIMB bank account after each tasks. Another Immigration Department officer was slapped with 30,000 ringgit fine after pleading guilty to 3 counts of graft at the Malacca Sessions Court. Muhammad Shafiq Suboh, 29 years old, who works at Johor Immigration Department, will be facing 6 months of imprisonment should he fail to pay the fine. For the first count of graft, the accused had received 360 ringgit from Muhammad Azrael Azizan for stamping foreigners' passport without their presence. The second and third graft, Muhammad Shafiq had received 320 ringgit and 800 ringgit from the same man for the same purpose. All of the offences were committed through a CIMB Bank Berhad account at Taman Mutiara Melaka, Batu Berendam in July, August and September of 2018. The accused was charged under Section 25, Subsection 1 of the MACC Act 2009 and can also be charged for the same offence under Section 25, Subsection 2 of the same Act. In the Kota Bharu Sessions Court, 2 police personnel are facing 8 charges for sexually assaulting, extortion and oral intercourse to a couple. The accused, Muhammad Hanafi Muhammad Zaki, 35, and Muhammad Izauddin Abdul Wahab, 30, pleaded not guilty to the charges read to them in front of Judge Ahmad Bazli Bahrudin. According to the charge sheets, both of the accused were charged under Section 377D of the Penal Code for forcing the victims to perform indecent act, oral sex, and money extortion in Pengkalan Chepa on the 4th of December. Muhammad Hanafi is facing 2 counts for sexually assaulting the female victim at the same location under Section 354 and 509 of the Penal Code, while Muhammad Izauddin was charged under Section 323 and Section 504 for causing harm on the male victim and sexually assaulting the female victim at different locations. The Kota Bharu Sessions Court set the bail of 20,000 ringgit for Muhammad Hanafi and 30,000 ringgit for Muhammad Izauddin with 4 sureties for each of them. The court set 17 January next year for the case pre-mentioned. The Air Accident Investigation Bureau has produced a preliminary report on its investigation into a mid-air collision involving 2 helicopters, 9MHCA and 9MHCB, on the 8th of November in Taman Melawati, Kuala Lumpur. In a statement today, Transport Minister Datuk Sri Wee Ka Siong, however, said this is a preliminary report and that investigation into the accident is still ongoing, adding that the preliminary report was available on the Transport Ministry's website. Based on the synopsis of the preliminary report, the 9MHCB crashed onto a road shoulder, killing both its occupants, while the 9MHCA, although damaged, managed to execute an emergency landing in a nearby school field with both occupants uninjured. The report said initial investigations confirmed that a mid-air collision did indeed occur. Based on the preliminary report, Datuk Sri Wee said the Civil Aviation Authority of Malaysia, CAAM, has taken immediate action towards ensuring the safety of the public and all aviation industry players at all times. He said CAAM is currently looking into making additional training a requirement for private clubs and operators with the aim to increase awareness and competency among aviation enthusiasts. A fire destroyed a building of the Balaga District Police Headquarters today about 720 kilometres north of Kuching, Sarawak, according to the Sarawak Fire and Rescue Department Operations Centre. Initial information received by the centre stated that the fire reportedly occurred at 19 p.m. and 5 personnel from the Bintulu Fire and Rescue stations were rushed to the location, 177 kilometres in the interior from the station. The centre in a statement said it contacted the Balaga Volunteer Fire Fighting Team, which responded first. He added a 4-wheel drive vehicle took 4 hours to get there from Bintulu. Meanwhile, Sarawak Assistant Minister for Rural Electricity Supply, Dato' Liwan Lagam, who is the supplement for Balaga, said the building was made of wood and zinc. He said the report he received stated that the fire started at the office of the Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department, apparently from an electric short circuit, and added that no one was injured in the incident. Malaysia today registered 1,371 new infections of COVID-19, taking the country's total of confirmed cases to 84,846. Speaking at a press conference today, Health Director General Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham Abdullah said there is only one imported case recorded while the rest are local infections.
Negeri Selangor masih kekal melaporkan kes harian tertinggi iaitu sebanyak 532 kes bersamaan dengan 38.8%, di mana 420 kes iaitu 78.9% adalah daripada kluster-kluster dan saringan kontak rapat kes positif COVID-19 yang giat dijalankan di lapangan.
Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham said the country also discharged 1,204 COVID-19 patients, which means 70,597 people have recovered so far. He added that the number of people with active COVID-19 infections in Malaysia now stands at 13,830 cases. Currently, 114 patients are being treated in the ICU, with 62 of them requiring ventilator support. Tan Sri Dr. Noor Hisham also announced 4 new deaths. 2 cases were in Sabah and 1 each in Labuan and Perak. He also announced 2 new clusters related to workplace, making the total clusters reported to 481, with 191 of them are currently active. Penjana Capital attracts 8 global VC fund managers. Stay with us. Penjana Capital Sendiran Berhad. Penjana Capital has attracted 8 venture capital VC fund managers from the United States, South Korea, China, Indonesia and Singapore to invest in Malaysian startups as part of the 1.2 billion ringgit Penjana Nasional Fund Program. Finance Minister Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul Tengku Abdul Aziz said the 8 VCs were carefully selected among 51 applicants around the world with an indicative fund size of 1.57 billion ringgit combined under the program, or an additional commitment 370 million ringgit by the VCs, more than the initial projected allocation.
Venture capital sectors. These 8 VCs were carefully selected among the 51 applicants from around the world, including the US, China, Korea, Indonesia and Singapore. To ensure compatibility with domestic players, a rigorous evaluation process was employed, and we are happy to say that the setup is ready to achieve our objectives and more.
In his speech at the Penjana Capital Letter of Award handover ceremony to the 8 VC in Kuala Lumpur today, Tengku Datuk Sri Zafrul said, for the long term, Penjana Capital has established knowledge transfers plans KTP to set a clear goal for the players involved. He said this KTP will eventually lead to the creation of at least 1,800 high-skilled jobs through investee companies, projects or knowledge transfers. Malaysia's tourism industry incurred an estimated 100 billion ringgit in losses this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Seri Nancy Shukri told the Dewan Rakyat today that efforts are ongoing to promote domestic tourism activities and assist businesses to ensure they remain competitive and resilient.
Di antaranya melalui Pelan Pemulihan Industri Pelancongan dan Kebudayaan dan juga beberapa bantuan dan insentif oleh kerajaan melalui rentas kementerian. Tapi kalau dari segi voucher, diskaun untuk menggalakkan pelancongan tempatan, itu memang ada kita beri di bawah. Pada masa ini pun melalui stimulus package kita yang saya umumkan beberapa kali sudah, dan juga untuk tahun 2021 banyak yang telah kita bantu dan akan bantu untuk tahun 2021 demi untuk menggalakkan industri pelancongan ini.
She said the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, MOTAC, has and will continue to implement specific initiatives like offering an online domestic tourism vibes course, exemption of license fees for tour operators and guides, discounts and deferment of compounds for all tour operators and guides. Other initiatives include developing the online platform www.malaysia.travel for industry players to promote their products and services for free. She said MOTAC also has incentives to help tourism players develop and expand their programs and projects such as tourism accommodation, homestays and crafts and services related to tourism in helping them to sustain themselves and remain resilient amid the pandemic. Former political rivals Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad and Tengku Razali Hamzah in a joint press conference today said they had come together as they hope to help Malaysia recover and further develop the country's economy from the COVID-19 pandemic and subsequent economic fallout.
Perjumpaan kita hari ini akan memulakan langkah yang baru. Langkah yang baru tidak untuk mementingkan Tun Dr. Mahathir ataupun saya ataupun sesiapa daripada kalangan kita, tetapi mementingkan rakyat lebih daripada segala-gala, terutama sekali bagi mereka yang berpendapat terendah ataupun yang miskin, yang cacat, yang susah. Itulah orang yang kita nak tengok dapat pembelaan sewajar.
Saya pun ada sedikit pengalaman, Tengku Razali pun dapat sedikit pengalaman selama 22 tahun dalam kerajaan, dan kita berpendapat bahawa pengalaman kita ini boleh kita sumbang kepada negara supaya negara kembali menjadi sebuah negara yang stabil, yang menumpu kepada kemajuan negara kita.
In the joint press conference, the duo also said they were willing to cooperate and contribute their respective experience in politics and administration. Still to come, two bugships collide near Shanghai, 3 dead and 5 missing. Now, 3 people died and 5 are still missing on Monday when a cargo ship collided with another one on Yangtze River in Shanghai late Sunday. 2 container ships collided near the Yangtze River estuary of Shanghai late on Sunday night, resulting in the sinking of 1 vessel. According to information released by Shanghai Maritime Safety Bureau, the 2013-built 1714 TEU container ship Oceana suffered an engine failure and collided with another local box ship, Zin Qi Sheng 69, which sank with 650 containers on board. All 16 crew members of the Zin Qi Sheng 69 jumped into the water. 8 of them were rescued by rescue teams, another 3 were found dead, while 5 remain missing. Oceana is operated by German company Leonhard and Bloomberg Ship Management, and Zin Qi Sheng 69 is owned by Xiamen Qi Sheng Shipping. Search and rescue operations are ongoing. New Zealand on Monday agreed to allow quarantine-free travel with Australia in the first quarter of 2021, nearly a year after it locked down its borders to protect its population from the global coronavirus pandemic. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern said the Cabinet had agreed in principle for the Trans-Tasman quarantine-free travel bubble, pending confirmation from the Australian Cabinet and no significant changes in circumstances of either countries.
It is our intention to name a date for the commencement of Trans-Tasman quarantine-free travel in the new year once remaining details are locked down. But I think for now, New Zealanders by and large appreciate the approach of the government to ensure that we are not taking on unnecessary risk as we're going into summer and a much-needed summer break for New Zealanders.
New Zealand closed its borders in March, and since then all international arrivals, including Australians, have been required to undergo 2 weeks of managed isolation. The country has been widely praised for its strict handling of the coronavirus, which has caused just 25 deaths in a population of 5 million. Australia also closed its international borders early in the pandemic and now, apart from New Zealanders, only allows returning Australian citizens to fly into the country. And in sports, Messi scores late to lift Barca to win over Levante. Lionel Messi dragged a nervous Barcelona to a 1-0 win at home to Levante in La Liga on Sunday to cool tensions after a chaotic week at the Catalan club. Barca had dominated the game but failed to keep their composure in front of goal until Messi latched on to a through ball from Frankie de Jong and thumped in off the far post in the 76th minute. The Argentine punched the air more in relief than celebration, having fired blanks in Barca's recent painful defeats by Cadiz and Juventus. Barca was still made to sweat to gain all 3 points, surviving a late VAR review for a possible handball against Samuel Umtiti, plus a last-gapped volley from Levante player Son, which landed in the hands of keeper Marc-Andre ter Stegen. The win lifted Barca up to 8 in the standings on 17 points after 11 games, closing the gap with leaders Real Sociedad and second place Atletico Madrid to 9 points. Barcelona coach Ronald Koeman said afterwards he was more interested in ensuring his side beat Levante rather than focusing on the manner in which they won.
We need to win it.
Cristiano Ronaldo converted 2 late penalties on his 100th appearance for Juventus in all competition as the Serie A title holders ground out a 3-1 win away to a dogged Genoa side on Sunday. Ronaldo, who also converted 2 penalties in the 3-0 win at Barcelona on Tuesday, fired into the middle of the goal in the 78th minute and struck again 11 minutes later, taking his league tally this season to 10.
As promised, a minute's silence.
It took Juve 57 minutes to break through when Weston McKennie flew centre-free header straight at Perin before Juventus eventually wore its points. That's it from us this evening, and our top story, NTF to continue even after COVID-19 ends. Join us for updates at noon at 12:30 tomorrow. Till then, I'm Brendan Lepal. Thanks for watching.